Hi everybody, welcome to another segment of an unscripted moment. Today I want to talk briefly about the American Care Act, aka Trumpcare. Okay, when Obama wrote Obamacare, it took him 13 months. He hammered it out. You know, he put the work in. Obama was a knucklehead. I think he's one of the worst presidents we ever had, in my opinion. Whatever. So, the approval rating was 40%. Trump hammers out Trumpcare in 17 days. Approval rating is 17%. It's arguably the worst piece of legislation to come across, anybody's desk. Certainly, in his short infancy of a presidency, it has been the worst. Now, Paul Ryan was the architect, I believe, behind it, right? Like, I don't think Trump even knows what's in there. I don't, it's my own opinion. I got to be careful because I want to respect the office of president. Trump's our president. I want to respect that, but he's wrong. He was wrong. The American Care Act, Trumpcare, it stunk. It was a horrible piece of legislation. So they withdrew it because they realized they didn't have the votes. Okay, so I work with a guy who, good friend of mine, I love him, and he's a brother in the Lord, and, we're good friends, and, we argue a little bit about this stuff the other night because, he makes a statement that, it's the Democrats' fault. They won't allow Trump to pass any legislation. Really? It's the Democrats' fault? Well, first of all, if it is the Democrats' fault, thank you, Democrats, because you saved us from this horrible thing that would have been law. But it wasn't the Democrats' fault. You know whose fault it was? It was Trump's fault. Because he didn't roll up his sleeves and do the work. 17 days? I mean, he basically hammered this thing out in the back of a napkin on his limo ride home from dinner one night. Come on. And I don't even think he even had his fingerprints on it at all. I think it was totally Paul Ryan, right? But that doesn't matter. I mean, it's his presidency. He put his name on it. So it's his. He owns it. I don't think if you questioned him on it in depth, I don't think he could tell you what's in it. But it didn't solve any of the problems of Obamacare. It was basically a watered down version. Like, it didn't solve any of the problems. It was horrible. So it was a promise of his campaign that he was going to repeal. So do it. If you're going to repeal Obamacare. And we can go back to the old system we had. That's how I looked at that promise. That's how I took that. When he said, I'm going to repeal Obamacare, I thought that meant he was going to repeal Obamacare. Replacing it with Obamacare Light? No, that doesn't fulfill that promise, dude. And so, you're the president. Roll up your sleeves, get in and do the work. Shame on you. 17 days? Come on. And then he makes the statement, the ultimatum, like the night or 2 days before, whatever, the vote. If you people don't vote for this, you people don't pass this through, then you're stuck with Obamacare. Really? That's it? That's your best thing? One shot? You're taking one shot at this? And not even a legitimate shot. Again, 17 days. So, you basically are just going to, throw this out there, something you hammered together on the back of a napkin on the limo ride home. And if the American people don't swallow it, hook, line, and sinker, then woe is us. Then we're stuck with Obamacare for the rest of eternity, right? Because, listen, nobody supported this bill. So to the people that blame this on the leftist Marxist Democrats, you're wrong. Because there were plenty of Republicans that didn't support it. The Republicans hold the majority in the House and Senate, right? They didn't need the Democrats to pass this vote. If he had all the Republicans on board, they would have passed it regardless of what the Democrats did. The Democrats didn't have the power to stop this bill from being law. So no, there were Republicans that didn't like it either. Why? Because they're thinking people. Because they're able to see that it stinks. And that it's not in anyone's best interest, and that it was a horrible piece of legislation. So kudos to them. But if you're one of those very few people that live inside the egomaniacal, narcissistic Trump bubble, then everything Trump does is right, and therefore it was good, and so you would have voted for it. These there were. I mean, he had some report. Paul Ryan obviously supported it. I'm sure there were others, because they just follow along with whatever Trump tells them. Not even, does that make it right? So listen, Trump defeated himself because he didn't put the work in, and he didn't do the job he said he was going to do. And so now with this ultimatum, like, now you're stuck with Obamacare. Okay, that's like you're playing chess with somebody, and they see that they made a bad move, that it just dawns on them like, your next move now, you're going to put them in checkmate. So they roar like a lion and flip the board over, sending the pieces everywhere, and then take the board, and I'm taking my chess game and going home. It's like, come on, dude, grow up. You're the president. Roll your sleeves up, sit down at the table, do the work, do the job you promised to do. So we got these Marxist, leftist extremists that, they're in the streets with signs, Trump's not my president. They hate the president. They want to subvert him at every chance. They're trying to impeach him, and they haven't been able to. Like, they haven't found the silver bullet yet, right? But, like, so then I'll say we because I'm a conservative, we have people on the extreme also. We have these people that can't think for themselves, that immediately anytime Trump fails at anything, it's the leftists. It's those evil Marxist leftists' fault. And like, that's what my friend said about Trumpcare. That's why it failed. It's the Democrats' fault. No, that is not true. It's not. And guess what? Everything that Trump fails at now is not the Democrats' fault. Everything that Trump fails at is not because there's some huge conspiracy inside the government to thwart Trump at every move. Now, are there factions of people that want to thwart Trump at every move? Yes, there are. Are they going to be successful every single time? No, they're not. And so, if you want to just fall back to that position that everything that Trump fails at is their fault, you need to look at things a little more realistically, because that's not the case. And things more often fall in that gray area in between black and white. Very seldom are things extremely black or extremely white. Usually they're somewhere in the gray. And so, yeah, there is a faction of extreme leftists that want to destroy Trump. They haven't been able to do it yet. And then there's the extreme right that, everything he fails at is their fault, and it's all because, they hate Trump, and their only really argument to everything is that, well, Trump's better than Hillary would have been. And that's true. Trump is better than Hillary would have been. But the statement that Trump is better than Hillary would have been doesn't automatically become Trump is a good president. Because Trump is better than Hillary would have been. And at the same time, Trump is not a good president. Nor do I believe will he ever be. I don't believe he's qualified to be. I don't believe he has the demeanor to be. I believe he's got too inflated of an ego to sit down at a table and work with people, which is a requirement of the job. I believe that his narcissism prevents him from being a good president. I believe that in his business life, he walked into the room and all eyes were on him, and it was my way or the highway. And that's his approach to the presidency. It's not going to work. It's not. I don't believe it's going to work. I believe that it's so polar opposite of everything he's ever been his entire life. It requires diplomacy. It requires, the ability to see both sides of an issue. It requires the ability to maybe believe that once in a while you're not completely and ultimately right on every single thing you say and do. And I don't believe Trump has that ability. And it doesn't matter what I think. Watch it unfold. The proof is going to be in the pudding. And it already is, in my opinion. So, Trump's going to do these, I'm going to do these truly wonderful, great, amazing things we're going to do together. He's not going to do anything. He's not. And so, yes, some of the things he does are because some of the things he can't do are because the evil leftist Marxists are blocking him. As in the case of the immigrant ban. So they put a lawsuit against him for making the ban, and some judge in the, wherever it was, went against him and said, yeah, he doesn't have that right. Well, I believe that was wrong. I believe the judge overstepped his authority. I believe that as a judge, you don't get to put your opinion in. You are supposed to look at the letter of the law. You're supposed to look at the Constitution. You're supposed to enforce what it says. It's not about what you feel and how you think or feel about anything. Feelings don't enter into it. It's law. It's black and white. There's language in the contract. The Constitution's the contract. Look at the language and make a unbiased judgment. And I don't believe they did that. I believe they overstepped. So in that case, yes, maybe it was that extreme Marxist leftist thought processes that lended itself to that. But in the case of Trumpcare, no, the evil Marxist leftists did not block Trumpcare. Trump blocked Trumpcare because Trump thought, well, I'm the great and wonderful Donald Trump. I'm going to sit down for 17 days and write this legislation, or probably more accurately, I'm going to direct my lackey to sit down for 17 days and write this piece of legislation that I don't even have a clue what's in there anyway, but the two can be the same for the course of argument, whatever. I'm going to sit down for 17 days and hammer out this legislation. And because I'm the great and wonderful Donald Trump, the nation should just embrace it. And if you don't, then you're stuck with Obamacare, and that's it, because I'm only willing to spend 17 days out of my presidency on this issue. I've done the best I could in 17 days. And if it's not good enough for you, then I'm not wasting any more of my time on it. We're moving on to other stuff. Really? Really, dude? Dude, you're the president. When you were on The Apprentice, or when you were the head of any of your companies or a businessman and doing whatever you were doing, you had the right to have that narcissistic demeanor. You had the right to have a big, giant, inflated ego. And on reality TV, that quality probably served you very well. In the presidency, you don't have that right, and that quality is not going to serve you well. So, is Trump still a better president than Hillary would have been? Yeah, of course. Is Trump a good president? I don't believe so. And so I want to try to respect the office that he holds, but how do you respect a man like that? How do you respect that as a person? That you just can't. I just can't. But again, he is the president, so he deserves a certain amount of respect. But at the same time, if he's wrong, he's wrong. And the system of government that we live in, it's okay for us to voice our opinion that we think he's wrong. But sit down at the table, roll your sleeves up, do the job you were hired to do. Put some time and some effort into it. Come up with some kind of legislation that makes sense for healthcare. And even that, I would be very happy with that. Even that is not what you promised, because you promised to repeal Obamacare, and you didn't do it, nor do I believe are you capable of doing it. And so if you want to replace it with Trumpcare, that can be okay if you can make Trumpcare be good. And so far there's no evidence of that. Certainly in this last piece of legislation that you tried to pass through, it clearly was not. So kudos to the people who didn't support it and voted it down, because we wouldn't have had anything. We would have had, it wouldn't have been any better. It didn't fix any of the problems of Obamacare. So that's not the solution. And to all the people that are on the right and that are blaming the extreme leftists for all of our ills, wake up and look at things for the way they are. Because yes, the evil Marxist leftists are a bunch of knuckleheads. Are they going to do the Trump presidency damage? Yes, I believe they will. But you can't jump from there to the position of every single thing that happens bad to Donald Trump is their fault. No, sometimes it's just Trump's fault because, again, it goes back to the basic truth that he's not qualified to be president. And that's just the way it is. One man's opinion, right? That's all it is. It's my opinion. Right? Wrong? Combination of both? Probably, right? Like some of the things I say are probably right, some may not be right. Like that's what an opinion is. So again, it's not black, it's not white, it's gray. It's somewhere in the middle. We're all entitled to our opinions, but listen, don't just jump on a train. Don't just jump on the I hate Trump, everything he does is evil, I love Trump, everything he does is right. Because both of those positions are wrong. Both of those positions have some basis in truth and a lot of basis in untruth. Don't do that. Look at things for what they are. Try to form your own opinions about them. Try to look at things realistically. Try to see Donald Trump for who he is. Try to see, the players for who they are. And in this case, I believe Trump fell short. He didn't put in the effort. He didn't put the work in. He just, he used his giant inflated ego and his narcissistic, view and like his narcissistic position that, he's always right. And so I don't have to spend the time to really make this good. All I got to do is whiz it out. And of course, everybody will love it because I'm me and I never do anything wrong. That's not a good quality for a president. Roll up your sleeves, sit down at the table, do the work. Do the job you were hired to do. 4 years is going to go by very fast. I don't want to try to predict what's going to happen in the next election. I don't see Donald Trump getting reelected. I see a lot of these people that voted for him are going to realize that the only reason they voted for him was to keep Hillary out. And so from that aspect, good job. But from an aspect of let's find a decent man to lead this country out of the mess we're in, it ain't Donald Trump. Thanks for watching. God bless you.